Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a scrapbooking layout about homemade treats using the Eat, Play, Love collection that is available in the March and April 2021 catalogue. I'm going to use the paper collection and some Cricut Cuts. Some of the layout has been cut using a trimmer, and other parts I've used cutting out the Cricut because I couldn't resist this gorgeous Eat, Play, Love collection with all the fun little icons that are in it. The paper that I'm using, the pattern paper from the Eat, Play, Love collection, is this gorgeous Lagoon and White print. But I didn't want to use the full length. I wanted to spread this across a 2-page layout, and instead of using the whole 12 inches of it, I have cut above and below this little dotted line. I'll just get the right dotted line. There's a lot of pattern on this paper, so I wanted to leave a little bit of white space above and below for the layout. The left page has a 5-inch section and the right is the remainder, the 7-inch. So let's just cut that up. I'm making up some kits for an upcoming workshop. So this part I wanted to show you. I did a dry fit and a bit of a test run on it before recording the video, so these ones will go into a pre-cut kit, but that way you can see how I've trimmed down the piece of pattern paper to use on my page. I'm replicating the sizing and everything from the left page to the right, so we'll just stick this down. I've got the pieces so they look like they match up perfectly across here, and then using my Versamat I'm just going to center them and then put a 1/4 inch strip that is cut to the same height of red candy alongside that. Red candy, that's not what it's called candy apple. My favorite red, I think. I use it quite a lot. And then I've got almond cardstock. Also cut to the same height. So that is a 2-inch strip. And then I've got a piece from the current mix-in pack. I love this pattern as well, and I thought it looked great in conjunction with this pattern paper, but I wanted to give some separation. To put them right next to each other for me was just a little bit too much. I'm more of a, I suppose, clean and classic or simple style scrapbooker. So sometimes when I'm using more than one pattern on a page, I like a bit of separation. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do that you might have noticed on this one is I've done a little bit of ink blending to bring in some glacier ink because my photo mats are white. So when I put them onto the page like this part here can get a little bit lost. Doesn't matter that I've already adhered this because I can just bring in some scratch paper, my glacier ink, and with the Close to My Heart inks, I do like to use this sort of a brush. I use the blending tools with the sponge on the end for the Distress Oxide inks, but I find these are easier to use with our pigment inks. So I'm just going to mask that off. I know that my photo mat's going to go up above here. So I'm just going off and doing some circular motions to put some glacier ink I don't need very much. You'll see when I put the white cardstock, there's a little bit there, and I can just keep working that until I've got the right amount of colour that I think is necessary for the page. I'm going to do this in a couple of sections. I'm just going to do a bit of a dry fit to see how I like the look of that, and I'm happy with how that looks. The next thing I want to do is to start assembling my Cricut Cuts. The Eat, Play, Love collection has some gorgeous images in it that have multi-layers, and I wanted to quickly run through putting these together. Now I've used Glacier paper, and I've used the light side because the Lagoon colouring is quite strong. I wanted to tone that down just a little bit, and the Glacier paper just gives the right sort of colour tone. See here, I haven't quite cut this out correctly because I've got a flat line here, so my piece of white cardstock isn't quite long enough. So with the magic of video, I'm going to fix this issue and cut another white piece for this. So I will be back in just a moment. That's the good thing about using liquid glue. It does take a little while to adhere, and I was able to pull it off and fix the mistake. So there's the mixer part, and now I've got the bowl. Now the reason why I suggest doing the cutting on an intricate setting is because of all these tiny little pieces. So this is where the piercing tool, all these gorgeous little decorative holes need sometimes to get pushed out. They don't always stick to the Cricut mat. And I'm going to pop this little bit up on foam tape. I know it's a little bit fussy to put small strips of foam tape on that, but because there's 2 layers here of cardstock, I just feel like it needs to be popped up just a little bit to give some added dimension. So now I can adhere this to the page. And my photo mat is going to go under here. I'll adhere the photo mats for this, and then we'll come back and do the right page. Now I've noticed there's another little piece that goes onto the mixer, so I will adhere that, make sure I match the colours. So I want the glue to go onto the darker side. All I needed to do was line up those little holes. And all of the utensils with this Cricut collection have separate pieces for the handles, so you can cut them out in whatever colour that you like, whatever matches your page or what you use in your kitchen. And that'll cover up the little bit of ink that didn't quite smear how I wanted it to. If something like that happens when you're doing some ink blending, you can always put an element over the top, like a sticker or a Cricut cut shape or some enamel dots or a wood shape. Whatever you want to put on there, you can. So now I'm going to put down the photo mats for this so that I know where to build my title. I've made a journal box by cutting out from the white daisy cardstock a section here to match in with this mixer. So I've done some slicing and picked out this section here so that I can use that as a feature on top of the candy apple. It dresses up the journal box just that little bit more than just having a plain strip of white. With the title, I've used the rolling pin, and instead of having just a plain piece of the almond cardstock there, I decided to cut part of the title out of it. So I'm going to assemble this. If you cut it straight as designed from the Design Space file, there's a base layer in white, so that allows for this lovely decorative design on the handle to be shown. And I think there might be a wrong way and a right way to put this together, so I'll just flip it around. That's better. It wasn't quite fitting the other way. So when you put them together, just make sure that your handles are the right way. And putting the rolling pin straight onto that, I found that the almond and the red just needed to be lifted just a little bit. So I've made a little white rectangle to cover that up. So now the treats word stands out a little bit better. And what I've done, when I've taken that part of the rolling pin off the mat, I've left the word there because I want to use the inside pieces of the A and the E. So I'm just going to carefully take those off. Use my tweezers. And this is where liquid glue is really, really good. And finish off the inside of the A and the E. The E is a little bit more of a challenge. It's tiny. So I'll just put him there on the edge so you can see it. And I have a little tool. It's a jewel picker. And they're sticky on the end. I just ordered it online. And I'm going to put my little bit of glue straight onto here. Pick him up with my jewel picker. Please excuse me if my head's in the way. And just pop that on there like that. So that was much easier than me trying to adhere the glue to that tiny little piece. It finishes off the inside of the letters, I think, when you do that. So now I can put that part of the title down, and I've made a little homemade to put as an additional part of the title, so it'll read homemade treats. And then I'm going to bring in these utensils to make just a little cluster here. So some will be adhered with glue and others with little bits of foam tape. These pieces here are zip strips from the pattern papers because I want to bring some of them onto the edges here. And then I can put a little bit of adhesive underneath that once I've done my photo. Then I can just simply flip that over and trim off the pieces I don't want. And then I'm going to replicate this on the other side. But instead of coming off the edge of the page, I'm going to have them coming out from underneath that left panel. So I'm going to use the lagoon part down closer to the mixer. So after putting the zip strips up on the right edge of here, I've replicated that on the left side here and tucked them underneath this border here. I wanted to add some dots to this, so I'm using the In This Together dots, which was a special in March, and these are the colours that were in them. So orange, lagoon, grape and peacock. But I didn't want to introduce orange to the page, so what I've done is I've got my marker and I've used the darker end and just gone over the top. Just make sure that the dot that you're colouring in is a bit lighter than the colour that you're using, and think about it beforehand or come back later. They do take a little bit of time to dry, so I've already pre-coloured some so that I can adhere them straight to the page. So I'll just pop that one aside, grab the ones that I have already done, and I'm going to just sprinkle those around where I've got some embellishments. I'm going to use the lagoon ones as well. It's a bit hard to get a shot of this while I'm filming of the two pages, so I'll put some still shots at the end, but I love how this has turned out with just a little bit of the glacier sponging, some customized dots. You can always grab dots from your stash and colour them to suit the pages if you don't have anything there ready to go. The black and white dots are very good for doing that. With the white dots, they'll take any colour. And a custom rolling pin with the word treats cut out of it. It was a little bit fiddly putting those in, but I think it's really worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.